Money doesn't run from hard workers. It runs from people who don't understand how it moves. You've been lied to. You've been told that if you work hard enough, stay loyal enough, put in enough hours, you'll eventually break through. But you look around and see people less educated than you living better. People who started after you already ahead. People who seem to do less but have more. And you're stuck asking the same question over and over. What am I doing wrong? Let me tell you something that will sting but set you free. Most people stay broke not because they don't work hard. They stay broke because they make the same 3 mistakes over and over again, year after year, until those mistakes become their identity. And the worst part, they don't even know they're making them. You think you're building wealth, but you're building a prison. You think you're being responsible, but you're being controlled. You think you're playing it safe, but you're actually gambling with your entire future. And the house always wins when you don't know the game. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about pumping you up so you can go back to the same broken system tomorrow. This is about waking you up to the truth about money that they don't teach you in school, that your parents couldn't teach you because they didn't know, that society actively hides from you because your ignorance makes other people rich. The first mistake is this. You confuse activity with productivity. You confuse being busy with being effective. You confuse movement with direction. Every morning you wake up and run, you hustle, you grind, you put in the hours, you sacrifice sleep, you miss moments with your family, you work weekends, you take on extra shifts, and at the end of the month, you're still broke. At the end of the year, you're in the same place. At the end of a decade, you look back and realize you ran in circles. You thought motion meant progress, but a hamster on a wheel is also moving. Here's what nobody tells you. The economy doesn't reward effort. It rewards value. It rewards leverage. It rewards positioning. You can work 16 hours a day digging holes with a spoon, and someone with a machine will do more in 16 minutes. The difference isn't effort. It's strategy. It's understanding how the game actually works. Most people are running on outdated programming. They're using blueprints from the 1,950 seconds in a world that changed 40 years ago. Your parents told you to get a good job, work your way up, be loyal, and you'll retire comfortable. That was true in their time. In this economy, loyalty gets you laid off. Hard work without ownership gets you replaced. Stability is an illusion sold to keep you productive for someone else's dream. You're playing checkers while everyone getting ahead is playing chess, and you wonder why you keep losing. The second mistake is even more dangerous. You spend your energy earning money instead of building systems that earn money for you. Let me say that again. You trade your time for money, hour for dollar, shift for paycheck. That's not wealth building, that's survival. And survival keeps you exactly where you are. Wealthy people don't work for money. They build assets that work for them. They create systems. They leverage other people's time, other people's money, other people's expertise. They understand something you were never taught. Time is the only resource you can never get back. And if you're trading it directly for money, you're losing the only game that matters. You think you're being practical. You think you're being responsible. But every hour you trade for a paycheck is an hour you didn't spend building something that could pay you while you sleep, something that could pay you while you're with your kids, something that could pay you 10 years from now. Rich people build wells. You're carrying buckets, and you're exhausted wondering why you're always thirsty. Here's the trap. The system is designed to keep you on the hamster wheel. You get a paycheck just big enough to survive, but not enough to invest. Just enough to pay bills, but not enough to take risks. Just enough to keep you coming back next week, next month, next year. You feel like you're managing. You feel like you're doing okay. But okay is the enemy of wealthy. Comfortable is the enemy of free. And the moment you accept your current level, you lock yourself into it. You're not broke because you don't make enough money. You're broke because you don't understand the difference between income and wealth. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep and what keeps working for you. Most people chase higher income and wonder why they're still stressed, because more money without financial intelligence just means more expensive problems. The third mistake is the most invisible and the most deadly. You let fear make your financial decisions. You're afraid to invest because you might lose. You're afraid to start a business because it might fail. You're afraid to take a risk because you need security. So you stay in a job you hate, doing work that doesn't fulfill you, making money that doesn't grow, telling yourself it's the responsible thing to do. But fear disguised as responsibility is still fear, and fear will keep you broke forever. Let me tell you something about security. There is no security in a job. Your company can fire you tomorrow. Your industry can collapse next year. Your skills can become obsolete in 5 years. The only real security is in your ability to create value, to adapt, to build multiple streams of income that don't depend on one employer's decision. You're afraid of risk, so you take the biggest risk of all, betting your entire future on someone else's system. You're afraid of uncertainty, so you choose the certainty of limitation. You're afraid of failure, so you guarantee a slow, quiet defeat. Fear tells you to save every dollar. Wisdom tells you to invest in yourself, in skills, in assets that appreciate. Fear tells you to avoid debt. Wisdom tells you there's good debt that builds wealth and bad debt that destroys it. Fear tells you to play it safe. Wisdom tells you that playing it safe in a rigged game is the most dangerous move you can make. Most people are so afraid of losing what little they have that they never position themselves to gain what they could have. They protect pennies and miss millions. They guard their comfort and lose their potential. You're not being careful. You're being controlled by fear. And fear has never made anyone wealthy. Think about a seed. When you put a seed in soil, you can't see it anymore. It's buried. It's in darkness. If you didn't know better, you'd think you just wasted that seed. You'd think it's gone. You'd think you lost your investment. But under the surface, something is happening. The seed is breaking open. It's splitting apart. It's dying to what it was so it can become what it's meant to be. Roots are pushing down. Life is preparing to push up. The darkness isn't destroying it. The darkness is transforming it. Your investment feels the same way. That money you put into education, into starting a side business, into learning a new skill, it disappears. You can't see immediate results. You can't see the return. It feels like you're losing, but under the surface, something is changing. You're developing capacity. You're building foundation. You're preparing for a harvest that hasn't shown itself yet. And if you dig it up too early because you're afraid, because you need to see results now, you kill the very thing that was about to break through. Wealthy people understand seasons. They understand that planting season looks like loss. They understand that growth happens in the invisible moments. They understand that the size of your harvest is determined by what you're willing to bury. You want immediate gratification. You want to see results today. But wealth is built in the patience of planting, the discipline of watering, the faith of waiting, and the wisdom of harvesting at the right time. Most people never plant because they're afraid of the dark season. They never invest because they can't see the immediate return. They never start because success isn't instant. So they stay broke watching other people's harvest, wondering why nothing grows in their life. You didn't plant anything. That's why. Let me tell you about direction versus movement. If you get in your car and drive 100 miles in the wrong direction, you didn't make progress. You made distance. Progress requires direction. It requires knowing where you're going and moving toward it with intention. Most people are moving fast in the wrong direction. They're working hard at jobs that lead nowhere. They're busy with activities that don't build wealth. They're hustling in circles, calling it progress. Movement makes you tired. Direction makes you wealthy. Wealthy people don't just work hard, they work strategically. They ask, is this action moving me toward financial freedom or just keeping me busy? Is this investment building an asset or funding a liability? Is this opportunity aligned with my goals or just a distraction? You're sprinting on a treadmill, wondering why you never arrive, because you never chose a destination. You never defined what wealth actually means for you. You never created a plan beyond make more money and hope it works out. Hope is not a strategy. Hustle without direction is just exhaustion. And being busy doesn't make you productive if you're busy doing the wrong things. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. The manufacturer knows the product better than the user. If you want to know how money works, you don't ask broke people. You don't ask people who are struggling. You ask people who built wealth. You study how they think. You learn the principles they follow. You adopt the mindset they operate from. But most people take financial advice from people who are just as broke as they are. They listen to parents who never built wealth. They follow friends who are in the same struggle. They trust a system that benefits from their ignorance. You're asking directions from people who are just as lost as you are, and you wonder why you keep ending up in the same place. There's a reason lions don't hunt like hyenas. There's a reason eagles don't flock like pigeons. There's a reason oak trees don't grow like weeds. Every creation operates according to its design. And when you don't know your design, you'll copy everyone else's and wonder why it doesn't work. You were not designed to be broke. You were not created to struggle your entire life. You were not built to trade your time for just enough money to survive. But you've been programmed to accept it. You've been conditioned to think that's just how life is. That's how life is for people who don't know better. That's how life is for people who accept the default programming. That's how life is for people who never question the system they're running on. But you're waking up now. Something inside you is stirring. You're starting to realize that the game you've been playing is rigged, and the only way to win is to change games entirely. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who spent 20 years working for a company. Every year, he got a small raise. Every year, he was told he was valued. Every year, he put in extra hours, hoping it would pay off. Then one day, the company downsized. He was let go. 20 years of loyalty, gone in a moment. No pension, no security, no reward for his faithfulness. He was devastated. He felt betrayed. He felt like he wasted his life. But in that devastation, something broke open. He realized he had been building someone else's dream while neglecting his own. He had been trading his finite time for someone else's infinite profit. So he took what little severance he got and started something small. A service business. Nothing fancy, just him and his skill. He worked harder than he ever did at his job, but this time he was building equity. This time, every hour invested added value to something he owned. 5 years later, that small business was earning more than his old salary. 10 years later, he had employees running it while he started another venture. 15 years later, he had multiple income streams, investments, and more freedom than he ever had in 20 years of employment. The devastation was the doorway. The loss was the lesson. The ending was the beginning. But here's the key. He didn't just switch activities. He switched mindsets. He stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like an owner. He stopped trading time for money and started building systems. He stopped letting fear control his decisions and started letting vision guide them. That shift from employee mindset to owner mindset is the shift that changes everything. Before I continue, answer one question honestly. When was the last time you made a financial decision based on where you want to be in 10 years instead of where you are right now? If you're still listening, something inside you is waking up. Most people make decisions based on their current situation. They choose the job that pays bills today not the opportunity that builds wealth tomorrow. They spend money on things that feel good now, not things that appreciate later. They think short term because they're stressed, and they're stressed because they think short term. It's a cycle, and it keeps you exactly where you are. Wealthy people make decisions based on future value. They sacrifice today for tomorrow. They delay gratification for multiplication. They invest in what grows, not what satisfies immediately. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing relief over strategy. You're choosing the easy path that leads to a hard life instead of the hard path that leads to an easy life. And that choice made every single day is why you're still broke. Let me tell you about the craftsman and the blade. A master swordsmith doesn't just heat metal and call it done. He heats it until it's glowing. Then he hammers it. Then he heats it again. Then he hammers it again. Over and over. The metal is folded, heated, struck, folded again. Why? Because every strike removes impurities. Every heating and cooling realigns the structure. Every fold increases strength. The blade that goes through the most pressure becomes the sharpest, the strongest, the most valuable. Your financial struggles are the hammer. Your mistakes are the heat. Your failures are the folding process. And if you let them, they will forge you into something stronger, sharper, more valuable than you were before. But most people break under the pressure. They give up when it gets hard. They quit when the heat is highest. They stop right before the transformation would have happened. You're being refined. You're being prepared. You're being forged into someone who can handle wealth, who can steward resources, who can build something lasting, but you have to endure the process. You have to learn the lessons. You have to let the struggle teach you what comfort never could. Pain is not your enemy. Poverty is not your punishment. Struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're being prepared for something greater if you learn from it instead of just enduring it. Here's what most people miss. Knowledge alone doesn't change anything. You can know everything about wealth and still be broke. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every podcast, and still be in the same financial position. Why? Because knowledge without application is just entertainment. Information without transformation is just noise. You have to do something different. You have to make different choices. You have to take different actions. And that's where most people stop. They learn, they nod, they agree, they get inspired, and then they go right back to the same habits, the same patterns, the same financial decisions that kept them broke in the first place. Inspiration fades. Motivation is temporary. What changes your life is discipline. What builds wealth is consistency. What creates freedom is doing the hard thing every day until it becomes the normal thing. You don't need another seminar. You don't need another book. You don't need more information. You need implementation. You need to take what you know and actually do it. You need to stop researching and start executing. Wealthy people are not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They're not luckier. They just do what broke people won't do. They invest when it's uncomfortable. They start before they feel ready. They take risks that feel scary. They stay consistent when results aren't immediate. That's it. That's the difference. You're waiting for the perfect moment. You're waiting until you have more money. You're waiting until you know enough. You're waiting until you feel confident. But that moment will never come. You will never feel completely ready. You will never have perfect conditions. Wealthy people start anyway. They figure it out along the way. They learn by doing. They build the plane while they're flying it. You're paralyzed by perfectionism. You're stuck in analysis paralysis. You're so afraid of making the wrong move that you make no move at all. And no move guarantees you stay exactly where you are. Let me be blunt. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not scared, you're not stretching. If you're not risking anything, you're not building anything. Comfort is the graveyard of potential. Safety is the prison of possibility. And if you stay where it's comfortable and safe, you will die with your potential still inside you. Is that what you want? To look back at the end of your life and realize you played it safe, avoided risk, chose comfort, and ended up with nothing but regrets? Or do you want to look back and know that you gave it everything, that you took the leap, that you bet on yourself, even when it was terrifying, that you built something that outlived you? That choice is yours. But you have to make it. And you have to make it now, because time is running out. Not in some distant, abstract way, right now. Every day you delay is a day you can't get back. Every month you stay in the same pattern is a month you could have spent building. Every year you wait is a year of compound growth you just lost. You think you have time. You think you'll start later. You think next year will be better. But next year will be exactly like this year unless you change what you're doing today. The universe rewards action. It rewards movement. It rewards people who step out in faith, who take the risk, who make the move before they feel ready. And it ignores people who wait, who hesitate, who play it safe. You've been waiting long enough. Here's the principle that changes everything. You don't attract wealth by wanting it. You attract wealth by becoming someone who can handle it. Most people pray for money but can't manage the money they have. They dream of wealth but sabotage every opportunity. They want freedom but can't discipline themselves to do what freedom requires. Wealth doesn't come to people who need it. It comes to people who are prepared for it. It comes to people who develop the character, the discipline, the financial intelligence to steward it well. If you got $1 million tomorrow, what would you do with it? Be honest. Would you invest it wisely? Would you build systems? Would you create generational wealth? Or would you spend it, blow it, waste it on things that depreciate? That answer tells you why you don't have it yet. God, the universe, life, whatever you believe, doesn't give you what you're not ready for. It gives you what you can handle. And right now, your financial struggles are preparing you to handle more. Your challenges are developing your capacity. Your limitations are teaching you the lessons you need to steward wealth responsibly. Most people want the harvest without the planting season. They want the reward without the refining. They want the crown without the crucible. But it doesn't work that way. You have to grow into the person who can carry what you're asking for. You have to develop the mindset, the habits, the character that wealth requires. And that process is happening right now. In your frustration, in your struggle, in your desperation to change, you're being shaped, you're being prepared, you're being refined. Don't waste it by just wishing it was over. Extract the lesson, develop the discipline, become the person who doesn't just get wealth, but keeps it, grows it, and uses it to create impact. That's the difference between lottery winners who go broke in 5 years and self-made millionaires who build legacies. One got money, the other became wealthy. One had an event, the other had a transformation. You don't need an event, you need a transformation. And transformation happens in the valley, not the mountaintop. Let me tell you about forests. Trees don't grow by making noise. They don't announce their growth. They don't rush. They just quietly, consistently, persistently push roots deeper, stretch branches higher, add rings year after year. A tree doesn't compare itself to other trees. It doesn't quit because the tree next to it is taller. It doesn't stress because growth is slow. It just grows silently, steadily, surely. And decades later, that tree is a giant. It's immovable. It's strong. It's valuable. Not because it rushed, not because it was loud, but because it was faithful to the process. Your wealth is being built the same way, quietly, steadily, consistently. Every small investment, every disciplined decision, every dollar you save instead of spend, every hour you invest in learning instead of wasting, every risk you take when it's uncomfortable, every time you choose long-term gain over short-term pleasure, all of it is adding up. All of it is compounding. All of it is building something you can't see yet, but will be undeniable later. But you have to trust the process. You have to stay faithful when you can't see results. You have to keep planting when there's no harvest yet. You have to keep building when no one's watching. Because the people who get wealthy aren't the ones who start strong. They're the ones who stay consistent. They're the ones who don't quit when it's hard. They're the ones who understand that success is built in the mundane, repetitive, unglamorous daily decisions that nobody sees. You grow in silence. You build in silence. You become wealthy in silence. And one day, the world will see what you've been building when no one was paying attention. But that day only comes if you don't quit, if you don't give up, if you don't let discouragement, comparison, or impatience steal your consistency. Stay the course, trust the process, keep planting, keep building, keep growing. The harvest is coming, but only if you don't abandon the field before it's ready. Here's the reality. Most people will ignore this message. They'll hear it, agree with it, feel inspired for a moment, and change nothing. They'll go back to the same job they hate, the same spending habits that keep them broke, the same excuses that justify their limitations. And 5 years from now, they'll be in the exact same place wondering why nothing changed. But not you. You're different. You're still here. You're still listening. Something inside you is waking up. Something inside you knows this is your moment. This is your turning point. This is where everything shifts. You've been stuck long enough. You've been broke long enough. You've been frustrated long enough. And now you have a choice. Keep doing what you've been doing and get what you've been getting, or change everything and see what's possible. The 3 mistakes are clear now. You confused activity with productivity. You spent your energy earning money instead of building systems. You let fear make your financial decisions. But awareness is the first step. Now you know. Now you see. Now you can choose differently. Choose strategy over hustle. Choose systems over hourly work. Choose courage over comfort. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, today. Take one action. Make one investment. Start one side project. Learn one new skill. Cut one unnecessary expense. Open one investment account. Just one move, one decision, one step in a different direction. Because that one step starts the momentum. That one move breaks the pattern. That one decision signals to the universe that you're serious, that you're ready, that you're done being broke. And when you take that step, everything shifts. Opportunities appear. Resources show up. Doors open that were closed before. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. And when you change, your world has no choice but to change with you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a creator of your future. You are not defined by your past mistakes. You are defined by your next decision, and your next decision determines everything. So decide right now. Decide that you're done being broke. Decide that you're done making excuses. Decide that you're done letting fear, ignorance, and bad habits steal your potential. Decide that you're going to learn how money works, that you're going to build systems, that you're going to invest in assets, that you're going to take risks, that you're going to become the person who doesn't just earn money but builds wealth. Decide that 5 years from now, you look back at this moment as the moment everything changed. The moment you stopped being a consumer and became a creator. The moment you stopped being an employee and became an owner. The moment you stopped surviving and started thriving, that decision is yours. No one can make it for you. No one can want it more than you do. No one can do the work for you. But if you make that decision, if you commit to that path, if you stay faithful to that process, I promise you, your life will never be the same. Wealth is not reserved for other people. Freedom is not reserved for the lucky. Abundance is not reserved for the special. It's available to anyone willing to learn the principles, apply the strategies, make the sacrifices, and stay consistent long enough to see the results. That can be you. That should be you. That will be you if you choose it. So choose it. Today, right now, this moment, your future is waiting. Your potential is calling. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. But you have to move. You have to act. You have to step into the unknown and trust that the path will appear as you walk it. This is your moment. Don't waste it. Don't delay it. Don't let fear, doubt, or excuses steal it from you. You were born for more than this. You were created for more than survival. You were designed for abundance, for impact, for legacy. But it starts with a decision. And that decision starts now. If this message spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. And if you want more messages that grow your soul, subscribe, because your journey has just begun.